this morning, literally, first of all, you see the helmet? Look at the helmet looking at me. This morning, literally when I woke up, I mean, maybe 30 seconds, I woke up and then I got hit with this message of Wei Wu Wei. Now, I'm gonna explain what Wei Wu Wei means, but first, when did I even heard of Wei Wu Wei? I heard of Wei Wu Wei when I was probably, and my brother's probably gonna correct me because I don't have the exact date, I was probably in my teens somewhere. The thing I know is like I was focusing heavily on vertical jump. Now, I played basketball, my whole life, right? And should I say most of my life, I've played basketball. And since I'm a 80s baby, the generation when I played basketball wasn't about shooting. Although that's my specialty. It was about jumping, dunking, and whatever. And so I worked really hard to try to be able to jump. But this wasn't it. This wasn't in my cards. But anyway, inside of like the different vertical jump program, there was one called Air Alert. And it was Air Alert 1, Air Alert 2. All my hoopers probably know it. So instead of Air Alert 1 or 2, one of those, the little booklet that comes with it talked about Wei Wu Wei. And it talked about it in the sense of this effortless pursuit. It's like doing the action without focusing so much on the outcome, right? And inside of our coaching, we've been talking a lot about that, which is the transformation happens in the decision, not in the outcome. To some extent, you don't control the outcome, right? You control your effort, you control your action, you control your energy, you control your enthusiasm, you control the meaning of things, you control your focus, like you control all of that, but you don't control the outcome. And that can be very hard for some, right? It can be very hard because if you are an achiever like I am, if you are somebody that you believe so heavily that you reap what you sow, you have to work hard to get it. That is kind of a hard one, right? That you would get the result not just by going so hard on something, but by being able to have this action in an action, right? That's kind of what Wu Wei means. Wei Wu Wei means it's action, so doing without doing, action through inaction. Now, instead of Christianity, we talked about that a lot, right? Instead of like Christ follower, is that trusting God, trusting that whatever God is calling you to do, it's going to have something positive at the end, right? So I'm doing the action, I'm doing the work, but I'm not attached to the outcome because I understand that I have to go in that direction sometime for God to be able to pivot me in a different direction, right? And that is a hard one to do because in order to move where God wants you to move, you have to be able to be unstable. When you become unstable in your identity. You become unstable sometime in your relationship with people close to you. You become unstable sometime with your finances. You become unstable sometime with your purpose. You become unstable sometime with your body, right? Because the hours are different, because the level of energy and stress that you're absorbing is different. And so this practice of Wei Wu Wei is really this approach of like, I'm doing the work, but I'm not just focusing so much on the outcome. I'm willing to surrender to the flow. I'm willing to move, to listen, and to act on pulls and nudges that life or God gives me, right? It's a very very serene way of approaching life with like humility, surrender, and allowing God to guide you in your life. Whereas the other side is really just like, I'm the captain of my ship. I control my destiny. Whatever I say, I'm going to go and hunt. And yes, there's a place for that. But the older I get, the more I understand that there's so many things that I can't script the way it got, I got to where I got. I just cannot script it. Like the perfect timing, divine connection, divine appointments. Right? You just can't script it. Now, I live inside of a frame that I have with God, right? So the frame is the rules, the laws, the regulations, the stories and beliefs that I have about God, right? One of them is that God's timing is perfect. Sometimes faster or slower than I would like. There's no coincidence. God is going to bring the right people at the right time. It's my job to grow those relationships. Don't confuse your job. Top one is that there's no bargaining with God. There's none. Now, how does all of this apply inside of like actually the living it? Well, is that you look at your life and you look at the people in it. And if God brought those people at the right time in your life and it's your job to grow the relationship, then now it's your job to go and actually reach out. It's your job to go and actually provide value. It's your job to actually check in. Like it's your job to do that. Right? And sometimes it's like it's your job to go in this place and just like, you know, when you've outgrown some relationship or some relationship always seem to pull you down, to go and separate yourself from those relationships. Right? It's part of it. Because you cannot receive until you're willing to release, right? It's like that picture of, it's an old picture. I think it's like, it's Christ he's asking this little girl for a teddy bear. She's holding this teddy bear like so tight. He's asking it, right? And we're seeing it from a profile. So we can see that in the back, he has a much bigger teddy bear. She just can't see it. The only thing that she sees is that he's asking her to surrender the thing that she holds most to her heart. He's just asking you to trust her, or trust him, to let it go. Because there's something bigger for her. Now, as an achiever, as a A-type personality, as a leader, it is very hard to do sometimes. Because you're so focused on the outcome, you're so focused on the decision, you're so focused on the whirlwind that you're in and how you have to stay anchored down, you know, and in charge, right? In charge of your life, discipline, focus, you got this. But sometimes the harder you do that, the harder you stay within the focus, the grip, so hard, the harder life is. It just is. And you end up just like doing and never being, never living, right? And this is the place where you start to feel like you're a wallet. Really do in your family. You start to feel like you're just, and nobody appreciates you, right? Nobody say, hey, I'm proud of you. And you're like, what the hell am I doing all this thing for? Like people are just like out here, you know, I'm staying late, I'm coming early, I'm doing the work, I'm putting my ego down so that I can make sure that I'm under the radar and then I can jump up, you know? Like I'm doing all these things, but I don't get appreciated. At home, I work, and so you do, and then just like the result is not equal to the level of effort that you gave. And have you considered that sometimes it's because you're trying to control everything versus allowing yourself to be guided, allowing yourself to live inside this place of wait, which is just the surrendering, the action inside of inaction, focusing on the decision, not the outcome, and being able to flow. Understand like God might want me to go here in order for me to actually go there. But now I'm elevated and I can actually see something else. Whereas when I was right here, there's no way I could see this because there was a wall. But now that I got here, I can see on top of this wall and I see this new direction over there. Because there's things that you know, there's things that you don't know, and there's things that you don't even know you don't know. And so in this way, in this approach, you know, in relationship with God, you understand that there's so many things that you don't know. And most of the time, these things are held by the people that he brings in your life, in a relationship that you have to grow. And the messages that he's asking you to speak on, that sometimes you're nervous to speak on because of like whatever the judgment, you know, of people, right? But have you considered like, it doesn't really matter. Like it really doesn't really matter what they say. Yes, it can hurt. Being a person that is not understood can hurt because we want this place of like, hey, meaning, and I want people to understand and appreciate me. But sometimes you're just not. Matter of fact, every time you're called to lead, right? There's a piece of you that feels inadequate. Majority of the stories in the Bible, you will see it. The leader that was called forth by God to do something felt like, why me? I think you got the wrong person. I'm not the best at this. Whenever I got called to go and lead men instead of like being great dads, like I just felt inadequate at first. I really did. I was just like, man, I just don't have this thing down. Like, I just don't. Right? And then I realized, like, Julian, you have 6 kids from 13 to 1. You are home for 2 weeks with all the kids, all the activities, breakfast, lunch, dinner, activities, school, pickup, drop off. Like, you're handling all of this while at the same time running the business, doing coaching calls, creating content, staying in shape, not sedating, still doing the daily deposit to your wife when she's not here. Like, you're still doing all of this. Where there's some men, they are stuck in a place of just like, can't handle 1 kid or can't handle 2 kids. Can't handle working and the kids and being in shape. Can't handle it. And so I had to understand that just like, okay, I'm going to lead from this place of love, this place of peace, this place of I figured a couple of things. Like I can't pull off what I'm pulling off if I haven't figured a couple of things out, right? Just can't. And so I'm leading not because I think that I'm better. I'm leading because I'm accepting the call, because I've lived it, because I have fruits to show the results of it. Instead of my relationship with my kids, with my wife, with my body, with my business, with my calling and purpose, I have the fruits to show it. And I know that some men are still sleeping and need to wake up. And that I know that my voice can wake some men up. That my voice can influence other men. That my voice and my action can cut through bullshit that some people have. That only my voice will be heard. Now it's a heavy place to be when you lead. Right? It's a heavy place to be, especially when you lead by example. But it's a calling that I've accepted. A calling to being in service. But I've accepted it. Because I understand that there's this place where there's many men that just feel unheard, that just feel unappreciated, that cannot heal because they cannot feel. And I got put in this beautiful space to be able to sit in this gap with them. And cross it. Because I've been there. In that place of feeling lost, of being unstable financially, being unstable in my relationship with my wife and my kids, being unstable inside of my body, being unstable inside of my identity, and feeling lost, like, what am I doing here? And I know that some men are still in this place and are not willing to raise their hand and say, hey, I just need the guidance. Because there's this place of ego. But sometimes it's not just the ego, it's the fact that they can't feel anymore. Because they've compressed those feelings down for so long because society is home, they can't do it. And now they're in this weird place of like, I just feel some type of way. I'm getting this out of body experience and I'm looking at myself, yelling at my kids, and it's not me. But I can't stop it. I look at myself just like blowing up on my wife over something stupid, but it's not me, but I'm doing it. And not understanding, like, I must be crazy. But I understand it because I've been there. And I understand it because I've been in this place of like low level of empathy and feelings. Because I've compressed it. Because for me, growing up, black people would tell me I'm white people would tell me I'm black. And I just felt in this place of like insecurity and inferiority. And so I developed this superiority complex. And I shut down feelings because I did not want to feel less than. I did not want to feel like I don't belong because I was told I don't belong. I remember the jokes, like I was told if people had to go back to where they're from, black people go to Africa, white people go to Europe, but mixed people, you go to the ocean. And for some, it didn't stick. For me, somehow I internalized that feeling of just like not belonging. And so getting in this place now of like losing identity because God is asking me to move somewhere else really shook me at the core of who I am. And so I can sit in this pit with another man that is going through a transition from a W-2 to a full-time entrepreneur with kids and his wife and his identity loss because I've been there. And so that's how I can raise my hand and say, like, yes, I will be the one to guide, to move, to lead this movement, the dad, the myth, the legend. I will be, not because I'm better, but because I've accepted it. I accepted that I'm not perfect. I accepted it that there's a lot of shit that I have to work on. I accepted that. But I'm also not hiding, right? There's so many men that's like, oh, no, I just don't want to share online, you know, like there's oversharing. I get it. But there's a place of freedom for others. Whenever you can go and you can actually share publicly, there's a level of freedom for somebody to feel like I am not alone. Somebody else too had those moments of yelling at his kids and he doesn't know why he's doing it. Just blowing up at his wife and doesn't know why he's doing it. Losing identity and on the outside feeling strong, but on the inside feeling like, what the hell am I doing? I don't even know. There's somebody else that felt that. There's somebody else that went through that. And then at that place, there's a wake-up call that they're not alone. There's a wake-up call that there's a brotherhood of other men that are going through it. They are not hiding, that are releasing it daily so they don't keep it in their body and get sick over it. That are not hiding, but they're showing up every single day. When they're weak, they're showing up. When they're strong, they're showing up. When they don't feel like it, they're showing up. And they're doing the work every single day. Listen, if those vibrations, my voice, those vibrations are resonating with you, like, I need you to consider that it is not something that is not coincidental. God's timing is perfect, sometimes slower, faster than you would want. That his current version of you is not the one that's going to be there at the end, but that you need to accept the way we view, which is surrendering and going with the flow. If something is offered to you, that you're absorbing it, that you're seeing it, that it's waking something up in you to move in that flow of energy. Because I promise you, when you've been compressing your feelings for so long, it is even hard to hear God's voice. It is hard. It is hard to manifest success. It is hard. Right? Ask, believe, you receive. The believe piece of it, I believe, is anchored instead of feeling, instead of being reconnected to your heart. But you can't reconnect to your heart until you can feel. You can't feel until you can fully release everything. The anger, the shame, the guilt, the happiness. Like you the train station and there's a bunch of trains going through and you're not a passenger on the train, you're the train station. They're just passing and you're not stopping them, you're just welcoming them and observing and letting them flow. And you're yelling when, if it's anger, you gotta yell it out. If it's happiness, let it out. Because there's healing behind all of this. And there's a brotherhood of other men that are willing to support you. And there's a bunch of other men waking up to this calling of leading other men. Right? So again, I have you consider, if that connects with you, reach out. You're not alone. I love you. I see you. I honor you. It's Julian, signing out. Say, remember to release it. Be seen. Don't hide. Peace out.